Tēnā koutou katoa, no mahara mai, no me hoki mai ki te Bumblebees wānanga. What is Te Matatini and what is Kapa Haka? These are pātai that I have gradually answered since moving to Aotearoa 4 years ago. I guess the audience that I'm speaking to is myself growing up in high school. Anyone in Australia that wants to learn or know about Māori or are Māori and don't know a lot about their own culture, or just interested in Te Matatini or Kapa Haka, as well as to my international friends that only know what Haka is. This is just as important to know about. If you know what Haka is, you need to know what Te Matatini, because it's iconic, and you need to know what Kapa Haka is. I want to start with Te Matatini, which is the event side of Kapa Haka. Kapa Haka being toy art form of expression through body and movement. That's why I'm really excited to be having this topic as my first content video, as I love dancing and moving my tēnā, and yeah, I'm excited to speak on this. So Kapa Haka, Te Matatini is the event. So origins of Te Matatini didn't start as the label Te Matatini. It started as New Zealand's Polynesian festival in 1972. The purpose of it was to preserve Māori culture, Pacifica culture through the arts of waiata, haka, dance, moititia, storytelling, and the reo, the language. So all forms of our indigenous arts were coming into this one space to preserve and showcase Māori and Pacifica culture. So Matatini now occurs every 2 years. It seemed to be on that same wavelength back in the day. To get to that national stage of finals, essentially, it's honestly like the Olympics now, but you would have regional competitions or standings in your rōpū. So there's groups from each area in New Zealand that perform this kapa haka, which I'll get to shortly. So they work on this for a long period of time. They come together in their group, which is usually formed by, it seems, their rohe, their area, maybe their iwi, or just the sake of being in a kapa haka group. They would do regionals and verse each other, and then they would come and do the huge finals. Now feels like the Olympics, and every single person, everything I researched in, stated that Te Matatini is like the Māori Olympics. And at first I was thinking, yeah, it does look pretty handy, and Matatini. Kapa Haka in general is really fucking hard, really hard. The poi, the reo, the waiata, the co-creating together as a huge group. Sometimes it can be 20, 24 and 40 people in that group. So it's a lot of people to harmonize and be cohesive with, and unless you've watched Matatini, you just need to watch it to be able to witness like what I'm speaking on, because yeah, that's part of the art. Aside from that being difficult, they also need to meet certain categories through each aspect of their performance, which is, like I keep saying, like the waiata, the singing, the poi, the haka, the storytelling. Like there's different categories that they are aiming to win an award for, and then there's the ultimate finalist category or award. And while there's these subcategories that you can win awards for that groups may strive for, I think it's between 17 and 18 awards based on those different categories. Everyone is ultimately there to win the grand final award, and that award, the taonga itself, is Te Toa Whakai Huwaka. My pronunciation might be pretty dumb for that, but that's the grand prize, and they really do go hard to get that prize, and I have been gratefully able to witness it for the first time 4 weeks ago exactly. So Te Matatini nowadays is only for Kapa Haka, so Māori art specifically, and it is treated as an Olympics game, and they even score it in the same way that they do Olympics as well. I read that in the He Tau Makuru Puka. That grand final is hosted all across Aotearoa, New Zealand, every 2 years, the previous one being at Ngā Motu in New Plymouth. And it ended up being just a very grounding, wholesome experience, because there's people who travel from all over to come and see this Te Matatini, like genuinely internationally as well as nationally. There was like 20,000 guys. I don't. There's a lot of people there, but there's millions that view it in general. Lastly, it's a 5-day event. So over those 4 days, you're watching like, I can't actually know, just roughly like, I don't know, 10 groups a day or something, and it's just back to back to back. Each set is, I think it's under 18 minutes or 20 minutes that they're doing their performance for. Everyone's got different outfits. It's so beautiful depending on, it's usually very in depth. It's very intentional. Their stage presence is, and their performance as a whole is so intentional. I really didn't realize it until after this Te Matatini and started looking into what the storyline is, how connected that storyline is to them as an individual, them as a whole, as a family, or, you know, iwi as their tribe, as well as their hapu, their sub-tribe, and their ancestry, like their whakapapa. The story that they're weaving into their performance is really showcasing their knowledge on what has happened in their genealogical like experiences on this planet. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so special, because some, you know, might live next to the moana, or some groups are from the ngāhere, the forest, or more inland, and it's just always weaving in your natural environment into the stories, into the songs, into the movement. Yeah, just telling their story, and it's very personal. Otherwise, they might be speaking on more modern stories. There was a lot of te tiriti, hikoi, like references there, which was cool. I'm not going to speak on that. You're going to have to look that one up. It was just a big deal. It was when Hana did the haka and she ripped up the bill. There was a lot of references in that, which made it quite relevant to this day and age of the performances. So that is Te Matatini. That is the event. Kapa Haka, I want to speak less on, because I couldn't find a lot of like easy facts, and fair enough, because I shouldn't just expect to have it all dished out to me. Some mātauranga knowledge in Māoridom, you need to be going on the physical hiding of yourself to earn this information knowledge. But what I mean by that is there wasn't like a set dates on when Kapa Haka just happened. So the haka was always integrated to Māori culture with references of like war. And this is a fact that I've just found out, that haka at times wasn't just like initiating war, it was actually stopping war from happening. So they would do the haka, and from that energy, or from what they're expressing to the other side that they could potentially go to war to, it's kind of a form of like peace, or stating where they're at in a very strong, like grounded way. I don't have English words for it. Kupu that's coming up is like very mana and modi enforced to come to your opponent and saying, we're not gonna fight because there's no point of it, and here's how passionate I am about us like keeping our peace. That's what I'm feeling and thinking of. So that's really cool to know. It wasn't just initiating like bloodshed, for, you know, and usually it was, you know, intentional if that was the reason, I guess. So yeah, there was the haka. Then the poi. The poi, bro, you can already hear my wrist crack. I did Kapa Haka paper in uni when I first came here. It was crazy. Initially, the men actually used the poi to like, the men used the poi to strengthen their wrist for using the taiaha, or like any Māori weaponry. The taiaha is the spear, so it's really good for using that. And then the women, the wahine took the poi and created an art form, which is the dancing that you now see, the crazy jum, 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 jum. It kind of like whacking it. I'm not even going to compare it, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. The poi by the women, and then obviously like Māori never wrote their language down. The way that they kept it safe and continuing on through generation is by singing, is by telling stories. There was usually a story holders tohunga, like certain people that held the taonga, our, no English word can describe it, like the most cherishable things that you have. That's the reo, that's our language. They would hold the whole truth of that, and we would express it continuously, repetitively through song and storytelling. So putting that in the bowl to mix the haka, the poi, the tāne, the wahine, storytelling, preserving the language, created kapa haka. Became, I guess, maybe more prominent to bring back to life in the 1930s, 1970s, and definitely now, but it's a norm now. But between that time where we're at such a risk of losing our culture, and that was a staunch way of saying fuck off. No, we're doing it anyway, obviously. That was when the Polynesian Festival came alive, is to continue revitalizing it and bringing it back into who we are as Māori people. And that is why Te Matatini is so iconic. It's not just Olympics for something to see, it is the history of Māori preserving who they are and fighting for that through or from colonization. And this is now showcasing how much passion and honor and aroha we put in it for the people on the stage that are putting the mahi, the work in there. Definitely, they're my housemate, shout out to Renee. I witnessed her work going to Te Matatini week in, week out, and it's insane. All of them doing the mahi, the spectators that are there to support their whānau, their family on stage, and everyone involved in all the other jobs that make the event happen. It's such a big community thing to ensure that we keep this alive, and I feel so much more proud to have learnt about the importance and background of Te Matatini, as well as Kapa Haka, to know it's not just a show. It has like grassroots that are really deep into who we are as people. I might not be on stage be doing that, but when I witness it, I feel every single beat and harmony and melody and energy thread that they're just pouring out, that they're expressing. I can feel all of that, and I'm receiving all of that, and I'm treating it as a taonga, something that is incredibly delicate but special. It is beyond gold. You know what I mean? It's something that you hold with honor, and it's something I feel very grateful for to witness in person. So yeah, that's Te Matatini, that's Kapa Haka. A lot deeper than I had imagined. I'm sure I'll be sharing more as I learn more about it, but this is just the surface level, I guess, and the start of my kōrero. Cool. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you so much, whānau. I hope you got something out of this, learning about Te Matatini or Kapa Haka. If you could also leave any comments to teach me more, because this is coming from someone who has been in Aotearoa for years, again grew up in Australia. I didn't know what Kapa Haka, I grew up watching it as I came over to New Zealand. That was a norm, but not knowing that it was called Kapa Haka, not knowing what Te Matatini was, because it's evolved, and not knowing the importance of it being as known as the haka internationally. I think that needs to, be changed. I've kind of forgotten what I said, but yeah, put in the comments if you have something to teach me, because I am new to this space. That's what I'll say. All right, ka kite.